For those of you who don't know me, I'm Liz. So we're going to do our floor and core exercise class this morning. I'll get everyone to start off as we normally do, lying on your back and just engaging your pelvic floor. So we're just going to start off with lifting and lowering our pelvic floor while we're breathing through it. Okay, what we're going to start off with is our single leg tabletop. So we just want to float one leg up and then control it down and float the other leg up and control it down. Just one at a time, keeping nice good control of each leg and keeping that little gap between your lower back and the mat or the floor. So we want to aim to do 8 more on each leg. So I'll count us from now. So this is number 1. And just floating that leg and lowering it down. 2, floating and controlling. And the other leg. Number 3, and controlling that down. Number 4, and the other leg. Number 5, number 6, number 7, and the last one on each side, floating that leg up, controlling it down, and floating the other leg up and controlling it down. And both legs down, take a nice deep breath in, relax your pelvic floor. Okay, now we're going to come up into double tabletop. So we want to float both legs up, and we're going to just tap one leg down on the floor and float it back up, and then tap the other leg down and float it back up so that they're in line with each other. And just again, make sure you keep that space in your lower back as you're doing this exercise, and you're keeping nice control of your hips and your knees as you're doing this. So just tapping with your toes and then floating back up, tapping with the other toes and floating back up. And again, tap and float, and tap and float. Tap and float, tap and float. And again, tap and float, tap and float. Tap and float, and tap and float. And again, tap and float, tap, and float. Tap and float. Tap and float. Want to do this 3 more times on each side. Tap and float. Tap and float. 2 more. Tap and float. Tap and float. 1 more. Tap and float. And tap and float. And slowly control each leg back down to the floor. Take some nice deep breaths in here, relaxing your pelvic floor. Okay, now we're going to move on to our hip twists. So it's just our single leg fall out. So just let one leg fall out to the side while you're engaging your pelvic floor, and then control it back together. And then the same on the other leg, let it fall out to the side while you're keeping your pelvic floor engaged, and then controlling it back together. If you can't go too far out to the side, that's okay. As far as you can go while engaging your pelvic floor, and then bring it back together. And the other side, nice and controlled, and bringing it back together, keeping both legs nice and stable. Just letting one leg fall out and coming together, and the other leg falling out and coming together again. And the first leg coming out to the side and controlling it back together, and the other side again, and controlling that back together. First side, letting that leg fall out and controlling it back together. And then the other side, letting that leg fall out and controlling it back together. And again, one side, just letting it fall out and together, and the other leg, pulling it out and coming back together. All right, 3 more times on each side. And bringing that leg out and controlling it back together. And the other leg, and controlling it back together. 2 more. Letting that leg fall out, controlling it back together. And the other leg, and controlling it back together. 1 more time on each side. Letting that leg fall out, controlling it back together. And the other leg, letting that leg fall out and coming back together. Great. Take a nice deep breath in here. Relax your pelvic floor. All right, for our next exercise, we're going to do our one-legged stretch. So this is just hovering your heel above the floor, stretching it out, and then controlling it back together. So you don't let your foot touch the floor at any point. You're just hovering your heel a few centimeters above the floor, and then you're bringing it back together. Keeping nice, good control at your pelvis. Don't let yourself rock too much. Nice and controlled. And then bringing it together. In the other leg. Nice and controlled. And bringing it back together. We're going to do this another 8 times on each side. So bringing that leg out, stretching it out. And controlling it together. And stretching the other leg out. And controlling it together. And again, the other side. Number 2. Together. and the other leg. Together. Number 3, just floating it above the floor. And together. And the other leg. And together. Number 4, just floating that out. And together. And the other leg. And together. Number 5, floating that leg out. Controlling it back. And the other leg out. And controlling it back. Number 6, floating that leg out and bringing it together, and the other leg out and together. Number 7, bringing that heel out, don't let it touch the floor, and together, and the other leg out and together. Last one on each side, floating that leg out, controlling it back together, and last time, stretching that leg out and controlling it back together. Taking a nice deep breath here again, relaxing your pelvic floor. From here, we're going to come up into our bridges. So we want to keep our feet hip width apart, keep your knees hip width apart, don't let them touch each other. And we're going to rock our pelvis back to start off with to engage our abdominals. And then we're going to push through our heels. We're going to lift our bottom up off the floor. And then we're going to roll back down, nice and controlled, and coming back into that starting position. Then we want to tilt our pelvis back again, push through our heels, lift our bottom up off the floor, and roll back down, keeping nice, good control of the spine. And again, rocking your pelvis back, pushing through your heels, lifting your bottom up nice and high, and slowly rolling down again. And again, tilting your pelvis back, engaging your abs, pushing through your heels, keeping control between your legs, don't let them touch each other, and coming back down. And again, rocking back, pushing through your heels, and controlling that back down. We're going to do this another 5 times, rocking your pelvis back, pushing through your heels, and controlling that roll back down. And again, pushing up, and controlling that roll back down. And again, bringing your pelvis back, pushing through your heels, and rolling back down. 2 more times, rocking your pelvis back, pushing through your heels, and rolling back down. And 1 more, rocking back, pushing through your heels, and rolling back down. All right, taking a nice deep breath through here again. Now we're going to come up into our dead bugs. So we're going to float both legs into our tabletop position and have our arms directly above us. And we're going to let one leg and one arm come out. And then we're going to bring them, control them back together. And then the same on the other side, opposite arm and leg. And bringing them back together. If it's too hard to do both at the same time, you can just stick with the legs or the arms. Otherwise, the opposite arm and the opposite leg, and back together. And again, and together. One arm and one leg, together, And the other arm and leg, and together. We want to keep nice and soft through our ribs so we're not flaring when our arms come above our head. Nice and controlled. And the other arm and leg, nice and controlled. Gonna do this another 3 times on each side. Together. Together. 2. Last time. 3. Controlling your legs down and your arms. Taking a nice deep breath in through here. All right, I'm going to get everyone to turn onto their side. So you can bring your arm up just to rest your head on, or a pillow if you have one. I want everyone to just bend their bottom leg so that their heels are in line with their tailbone. And want to make sure your hips are stacked up on top of each other. We're going to straighten the top leg. What we're going to do is we're going to bring that leg up while you're pointing your toes forward, so not up to the ceiling. And you're going to control it down for 3 seconds. And again, bring that leg up. And then count 2, 3 down. And again, lifting that leg up and controlling it down 2, 3. See, some of you are quite flexible, which is good. And bringing that leg up again and controlling it down 2, 3. Good. And again, up and controlling it down 2, 3. Making sure your feet, your toes are pointing forward, not up to the ceiling. And again, down 2, 3. All right, we're going to do this another 4 times. Get it up nice and high, down 2, 3. Good. 2, down 2, 3. Again, down 2, 3. One more time, nice and high, down 2, 3. Good. Give yourselves a bit of a rub if you need to. And we're going to swap sides and we're going to do it on the other side. So again, set yourselves up nicely. Make sure your bottom heel is bent and in line with your tailbone. Your hips are stacked right on top of each other. And you're just straightening out the top leg. So we're going to do this 10 times on this side. So lifting up nice and high and controlling 2, 3, down. 2, down, 2, 3. 3, down, 2, 3. Good. 4, down, 2, 3. 5, down, 2, 3. 6, down, 2, 3. 7, down, 2, 3. 8, down, 2, 3. 9, down, 2, 3. Last time. 10, down, 2, 3. And together. Good. Give yourselves a bit of a rub if you need to. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come up onto all fours and we're just going to do our cat-cow stretches. So we want our Hands to be shoulder width apart, our knees to be hip width apart. And we're just coming up through our the middle of our back, bringing our heads down, tucking our tailbone down, and then coming up the opposite way, bringing our head up. And again, coming down, coming up through the abdominals, tucking our tailbone under, and coming back up with our head and our tailbone and down through our mid-back. And again, curling under. And coming back up. And again, tucking under. And coming back up. Now we want to find the midpoint of these two. So we want to make sure that we're pushing through our arms, our head's not collapsing forward, that we're not tucking under too much. We want to have a neutral spine. What we're going to do is we're going to come out and we're going to bring one arm and the opposite leg out and then coming together, keeping that control of your spine. And the other arm and leg out. Nice and controlled back together. And again, coming out, keeping nice good control through there and controlling together. And the other arm and leg out. And controlling it down together. And the first arm and leg, keeping that spine nice and controlled. And together. The other arm and leg out. And together. And again, through that arm and that leg. And together. And the other arm and leg. And together. And again. And the other arm and leg. And together. 2 more times on each side. The other arm and leg. And together. 1 more time on each side. And coming down into our child's pose, sitting back on your heels, bringing your knees apart, reaching forward through your arms. Taking in some nice deep breaths in through here. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to do our thread the needle. So staying on all fours, we're going to do bringing one hand in through the gap of the other arm and leg and leaning in towards that side. And then coming back up onto that hand and then doing the same through the other arm and leg. And this is great if you get a stiff mid-back. And the other side again. Coming back onto your hands and swapping over to the other side. And back up. And again onto the other side. And coming back up and swapping over. And coming back up. 1 more time on each side, coming through with that arm. and back up again. And the same on the other side, bringing that arm through. And coming back up. All right, so now we're going to finish off with our pelvic floor exercises. So I'll get everyone just lying down comfortably on your back. Okay, just going to take some deep breaths in through here. Firstly, relax your pelvic floor. So we're going to start off lifting our pelvic floor 50% of its max strength. So not all the way, just 50%. And we're going to do this 10 times. So we're going to lift 50% and relax. 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 And lift and relax. Lift, relax, lift, relax. One more, lift and relax. Now completely relax, take in some nice deep breaths. Okay, now we're going to lift all the way 10 times. We're going to lift 100%. So we're going to lift fully and we're going to relax fully. We're going to lift and relax and lift and relax. Lift and relax and lift and relax. Lift, relax. Lift, relax. Lift, relax. Lift, relax. Lift and relax. All right, so nice deep breaths in through here. Completely relax your pelvic floor. And now we're going to try and lift and hold for 5 seconds. And we want to try and hold maximally, so at 100%. So I'll count it down. So we want to lift and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and completely relax. Okay, we're going to do this one again. So we're going to lift and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and completely relax. All right, taking some nice deep breaths here to finish. Bring yourself into a butterfly pose, so your feet touching each other, your knees out to the sides, just relaxing through your pelvic floor. All right, when you're ready, you can sit up, and that ends our class for today. Thank you for joining me, and see you guys next time.